and welcome to Quays News. I'm Emmy Norton.
And I'm Harriet Haywood. Here's what's coming up on the programme today.
And I just thought, and even from hearing from friends and family, having sewing machines just collecting dust in my room, and there was no inspiration.
How a man from Bakeup has created his own fashion line.
We report from Manchester after police seize an estimated £5 million worth of cannabis.
It's not the same thing, whereas it is basically eating in front of a camera, but we can use that for educational purposes.
And how coronavirus has affected Ramadan for the second year in a row. All that and more on your Quays News.
But first up on today's programme, after nearly 6 months of being closed, gyms have finally reopened. Despite some restrictions still being in place, it's one step closer to normality.
So I had the thought of setting up a business for a while, and that was during last summer. Knowing that I had the potentials and the skills, it was just the self-doubt that was holding me back. I founded the business in 2020 during November, and then started customer production during January 2021.
Would you say that lockdown has actually encouraged you to set up the business?
So yes and no. I mean, lockdown has dropped my hours at Santander, meaning once I was at home, I was just sitting around not doing a lot. And then, like, not to say this in a nasty way to myself, but my skills were just deteriorating and I just was losing all interest in fashion. And I was very grateful to still have my full-time job through this, which was keeping me going. It was just going from such a busy lifestyle day in and day out to then completely nothing. And I just thought, and even from hearing from friends and family, having sewing machines just collecting dust in my room and there was no inspiration flowing, to then just waking up one day thinking, I'm just going to do this, go with it and just stick with your heart and just get it done.
So you're from a really small town in the middle of pretty much nowhere. How do you find inspiration for fashion clothes and designs when you've not really got that much diversity to work with? Because if you was working in Manchester or London, you'd obviously have so much more people to see, so much more inspiration. How do you deal with that living in such a small area?
That is a very tough question, because I do gravitate towards more of the city inspiration. Like, that's where I feel like I do belong. Like, I've always thought about living in London when the time's right. And it would be nice to shake up the small town of Bakeup with something so big like this. If I can go down to London, pursue like my career, my dreams.
What advice would you give to somebody who may be starting up a small business or thinking about doing so?
I thought I obviously wanted to stick to fashion, and that was always a dream of mine. It was just obviously trying to find the time, know what my point of view is in fashion. And I think that is like one thing I would tell everyone, is to like find what your point of view is, and then once you run with that, it just flows. Because I was there at one point thinking, I don't even know what I want to do. It got to a point making clothes just wasn't, it was just like I was sat there making clothes. There was no enjoyment in it. And then as soon as you find out like what you want to do and what your message is as a designer, it just flows and works, and it is exciting.
That was Natalie Jefferson, who spoke to fashion designer Callum Sterry to see how he used the last 12 months to set up his own business. Now, a cannabis farm located in a city centre warehouse has been found by police in Manchester.
Well, that is quite a find. Our reporter Ollie Yude is live at the scene and joins us now. Hi, Ollie.
Hi, Emmy. Well, yes, that is exactly right. I'm here outside of this warehouse on Hayrod Street in central Manchester, where early on Monday morning, police were called to the scene by a concerned member of the public. Clearly, that concern was not mislaid, as when police arrived on the scene, they found an estimated £5 million worth of cannabis plants. This green-fingered menace, whoever they may be, clearly has certain talents which may be better served at a garden centre, as police found over 4,000 cannabis plants spread across 4 floors of the building. Now, police have made no arrests thus far, but they are urging anybody with information or concerns to come forward, quoting the incident number 394 of the 12th of April. There is an ongoing campaign by Greater Manchester Police to cut off the supply of illegal drugs and illicit substances to the people of Greater Manchester, and Detective Inspector Jeffrey Machin from GMP agrees, saying that this is a substantial discovery which has been discovered by officers thanks to a member of the public. As a result of this find, we've removed a significant amount of suspected cannabis that may have ended up on the streets of Greater Manchester, and is another step forward helping to disrupt the production and distribution of drugs within our community. And that is the situation as it stands. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Ollie. Now, for many Muslims, Ramadan is a time of fasting, prayer and reflection, all together as a community.
However, for the second year in a row, the holy month will take place in a national lockdown, meaning usual routines will be disturbed yet again.
Sam Ketch explores how the community have had to adopt to the new proceedings.
The Muslim community are far more used to celebrations like this at the end of their Ramadan. But given the coronavirus restrictions, they're going to have to stay familiar with the celebrations they had last year. For many people, this week was the easing of lockdown restrictions, but for Muslims it was the start of Ramadan. So how will a second Ramadan in lockdown be observed?
What does it look like? Well, we get up in the morning to fast. Last year it was a bit more. It was quite nice actually. People didn't have to go to work as much. People were furloughed, and in that sense, families got together a bit more. They were in the house a bit more. Congregational prayers, although they couldn't happen at the mosque, they happened here in our homes.
I was fortunate enough to get my hands on a translated version of the Quran to try and understand why Muslims celebrate Ramadan. It was in the month of Ramadan that the Quran was revealed as guidance for mankind, clear messages giving guidance and distinguishing between right and wrong. These are photos of the iftar from normal times. The iftar is the day of breaking fast in Ramadan. So how is it going to look when you're having to do it on Zoom?
But like you said, it's not the same thing. Whereas it is basically eating in front of a camera, but we can use that for educational purposes, and we can use that in order to foster bonds within our community.
But based on all Kamar had to say, I felt like asking him, is it even different in lockdown?
So the essence of whether it was a previous Ramadan in COVID-19, in a complete lockdown, or in this COVID situation we're in which lockdown rules will be easing, the essence will always remain the same.
So Ramadan Mubarak to all those Muslims partaking in their holiest month.
So, whilst it is difficult for some people celebrating Ramadan, lockdown restrictions have lifted a little bit this week.
They have. Monday the 12th of April,
yes.
A date that will stick in everyone's mind. It will definitely stick in mine for sure. What did you do on Monday?
First thing, 9 a.m, stood outside the pub.
No, you didn't.
What was your plan?
I did the exact same thing as you, but at 5 o'clock. I didn't quite go at 9 a.m. in the morning. I went at 5 p.m.
What about the gyms?
Oh, well, I did go to the gym on Wednesday and it was very good, but I probably won't be returning again for a while.
No.
I think I just used the lockdown as an excuse to go, but yeah, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I'm aching massively today. Have you been to the gym?
No, I've saved the money I would have spent on the gym on the pubs instead.
On the pubs? I do not blame you at all.
I'm giving back to my local businesses, that's all.
That is a great way to think of it, a definitely great way to think of it.
Yeah, well, that's all for now, and we'll be back again at the same time next week.
But until then, it's goodbye from us all here at Quays News.